So you guys haven't met, so let me just formally introduce you.
Yeah.
This is Alan, JP.
It's a
Alan.
pleasure to meet you.
Yeah,
We shook
you too,
hands
man.
over there, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
we
thank you
always
for having
love
me.
sitting
Yeah.
down and just jumping right
Just
into
throw
it.
ourselves right into it. But like I know about, like, I've seen some of your work and stuff like that.
I appreciate
I'm a
that.
fan. It's good stuff.
Thanks. Well, first things first, thank you for having me on the pod. Never thought I'd ever be on a podcast before.
Can you
so.
say that in the form? Can you say that with using the name?
Yeah. Who would have thought pod? Like, literally, like perfect title. I mean, perfect name for the podcast. Like,
thanks, dude.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
It's definitely lended itself to really push for some conversations, because you can just be like, yeah, we didn't think we'd be here doing
Yeah, exactly.
It just fits in all different, like, who thought we'd be here in the studio? Who thought we'd be here with you? Who thought you and I would be here? Whatever.
And like, I never met Steve beforehand. We have a mutual friend named Jafet, and he's like, Steve runs too, and I was like, okay, cool. So I told him to come run with us, and we were messing each other for a bit, and I was just like, hey, Steve, you want to go for a run with us? He's like, sure. I'm like, you mind being on camera? He was like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, all right, cool. And then that's how I met Steve, like, just for that really brief moment of time. But dude's fast. Like,
Thanks.
He's fit. He's fit. Boy's fit.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yeah. And Jafet's like, yeah, dude's a problem. I'm like, yeah.
He's like, all right, you can go. You can go now. Like,
Yeah.
You gave Steve his props. Like,
Yeah. Almost died
nailed
on
it,
that
yeah.
shoot like 8 times.
Yeah.
There's like 8 cars going by.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like maybe
No,
this was.
I look at your
crazy.
guys' numbers and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were cooking for sure, and I think Corey was pushing the pace. I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like sitting here
He's
running,
fast. He
looking at my
likes to be
watch.
running.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking at my watch, and he's just like, yeah, Alan says 650. I'm like, why are we moving this fast? Like, we're going uphill, dude.
He
Like,
told me we were going to just like, we're going to film a workout, and he's like, don't worry, we're not going fast, because like,
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
be able to catch
You wanna be able to get-
everything. 4 of us just sprinting down.
Yeah,
the
like
side,
literally
chasing him with a gimbal.
right off the bat, it was like, I'm looking at the watch 7:20.
It
So I
was
was
like, this
ah.
is not going to be good footage.
Yeah. And then like I said, it was like we were just running in the street, and like mad cars just driving by, and like, John was sitting here like, all right, this is kind of dangerous right now, but hey, we got a cool video out of it. So
I feel like there's a certain amount of, if you want to be a videographer or filmmaker, you have to accept a little bit of that danger.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if you're gonna
yeah.
like be in the middle of the street somewhere trying to get a good shot or whatever it is.
Like the 24-hour event. So my coach's buddy, he hired me. It's a race called 3 Days at the Fair, and it's a 24-hour running. Well, actually, technically, it's a 6-day running event, but he did the 24-hour event. So we had people running for about 6 days straight. And I don't know if you ever read David Goggins' book, but
I'm familiar with his game though.
yeah. I'm
being
sure everyone
being
does.
a maniac.
Yeah, so there was this like Japanese lady. It was like David's first 100-mile race or something, like, or 24-hour race, and he was running. He was talking about this like really petite, maybe 5'2" Japanese lady who's just literally running laps around him, and how he talks about like how she like when he watched her, how strong she was after 18, 19 hours of running, and he's like falling apart with like rhabdo, peeing blood and all that shit. And I'm pretty sure I saw her like at the event. She was walking like sideways, like with a heavy lean, and honestly it kind of looked like The Walking Dead at one point. Like, people had like, I guess when you run that long, you kind of just start to have this like lean, and you're just, it's just funny. And I kind of thought, like, I have footage like of people all doing that lean, and I kind of thought of like putting the Walking Dead theme song over it. But I was like, you know what? Let's not do that. That might be mean.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So
could work.
But it was incredible seeing. So prior to the race, he's done this event before. He won this race back to back. So what his goal was trying to run 145 miles in 24 hours. That would punch him into the American 100-mile team, which is like the Olympic equivalent. So 2 years prior, before I was at this event, he ran 130, and from what I understand, my coach told me he didn't really train for it. He probably ran 40-mile weeks, if that. And then I don't know, the guy's just naturally a gifted runner. So, 55 miles in, I'm just sitting here like asking him what his average pace was. He 8:34. And I'm like, that he's moving with intention for sure. And just seeing like the logistics and like how much people showed up, like his friends from college who ran with him were there. His family was all there. And, you know, we had this whole setup, and, you know, we had like a sheet where had times where when he peed, what color it was. Like we logged everything because, you know, rhabdo is serious. Like if you have rhabdo, you have to stop because you will die. So it was cool, like just seeing like all these people, you know, like it was the true testament of like the human spirit, like to see these guys out there. And the third place or second place winner was the director for Mountain to Coast. It's a running shoe brand. And he's 68 years old and ran 351 miles in 6 days from, I think he told me. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy to see these maniacs out there just logging those kind of miles, amount of mileage. Yeah.
So before, let's like get into it a little bit here. Yeah. Today we have Allen joining us for Who Thought We'd Be Here. Me and Allen, obviously, like you just said, we've gotten to know each other a little bit through running. You and JP are just meeting for the first time, but you guys share that common interest in cinematography together. So we thought this would be a good conversation. Sit down, get to know each other, go a little bit into our backstories. Me and you have both personally talked about how we've had some problems with addiction in the past and overcoming that, and how running has been beneficial to that. So if you want to just start off a little bit with a little bit of background on you, where you come from, what got you into running and cinematography, like, and how that has translated into like your mental health journey.
For sure. So back in the day, I used to go to a lot of music festivals. I went to, so what I think kind of ruined my life a little bit was getting
now we're getting into it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I got my first fake ID at the age of 17. So, you know, as a 17-year-old with this fake ID, we went to our first bar, and I remember buying my first beer. It was such a crazy feeling. We were super nervous, got it. But anyway, long story short, I still remember one of the funniest things that happened was there was this, you guys know that restaurant Shadows, how it used to be like a club back then. Remember I went there with 3 of my friends, and we're having a great time and stuff, and I suddenly feel someone aggressively grab my shoulder and turn me around. I was like, who the hell was that? And it was my mom. She was like, how the fuck did you get in here? And I was just like, I don't know. Like, and yeah, and then that's when she found out I had that. So there was another story, got banned from Purchase College, partied, basically one of my friends cursed out one of the RAs while we were bringing a drunk friend back. So that happened. And, you know, so after I graduated high school, 2011, I went to my first music festival, Electric Zoo. And that was probably the first time I experimented. And I kind of think it kind of went downhill from there. Growing up, you know, from an Asian household, I was never really allowed to do a lot of things. So I kind of became like a rebellious child, like junior, senior year, and kind of ventured out and, you know, did a bunch of stuff. And I think because I was never allowed to do much, that's why I was so rebellious. So like I said, Electric Zoo, I remember second, third day, one of my friends, he found like a wallet on the ground, and he was like, oh, look, and took the money, and then found sketchy individuals, bought Somali. And that's the first time I did it. Greatest time ever. And then I went to Electric Zoo pretty much like 8 years straight after that, met a bunch of, you know, people, you know, bad influences, I would say, more or less. And pretty much just chased music festivals all the time, went to bars all the time, and then got introduced to, you know, the white stuff, the devil's dandruff. And
that's a new one. I don't think we've ever called it that before.
Yeah, I was like, oh, look at that. Yeah. So I'm sitting here looking at it, and you know, you like it a lot for usually when you first time do it.
Nah, dude, no idea what you mean.
Yeah.
Never been down that road before. Right?
Yeah.
Never ever been down that
So,
road.
and coming from Steve's background, you know, I bartended for like 6-7 years, and I'll tell you, in the restaurant industry, you meet the funnest, degenerates of your life.
The funnest, unhealthy
yeah,
people.
yeah, they're just absolute units.
Yourself being one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, did a lot of partying, basically. And I was also like, running wasn't even like, I hated running. I played sports. I played football. I wrestled for a bit, and I dislocated both shoulders. Then I couldn't play sports anymore. But I definitely think that helped me like kind of build like that discipline. But since then, when I got hurt, like I was definitely pretty depressed about that, playing no contact sports. And I think that what also kind of drove me to like partying, because, you know, I didn't really have that kind of like mentality to be disciplined like I am now. But what happened during COVID, how I got into running anyway. Hey, Benji, what's up? So what happened was, you know, with the COVID lockdowns and everything, I like to tell everyone that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. It kept me away from, you know, people in general. Like, you know, we were all under lockdown. We couldn't see each other, all that good stuff. And my mom, she has lupus, so it's an autoimmune disease and all that. And, you know, back then people who had autoimmune, like it was really detrimental for them to get COVID. So at this point, during this time, I pretty much had a bad relationship with my parents. Was definitely a dirt bag, more or less. And yeah, like I was not a good son. So anyway, ever since of that, like I said, when we couldn't, you know, I couldn't see my friends, I also had like pretty unhealthy like emotions when I was, you know, doing all those drugs and drinking all that. Like I was basically kind of just like I didn't really like who I was, you know what I mean? Like, and I always wanted to be like the life of the party and all that. And I think it kind of stemmed from, you know, middle school. I used to be, I was born in Rockland County, so it was like pretty ethnic over there. And then I moved here when I was like 10 or 11. And it's a much more, you know, white, predominantly white, like, county. I'm not trying to like go into that. Don't take it the wrong way. But essentially, so, you know, people, that's the first time when I got reminded that I was Asian, like Chinese. Like people like straight up would just call me racial slurs like to my face. And it was something I never like dealt with. So that was when I actually got into like my first couple fist fights with people and all that. And, you know, some people literally just like didn't accept me, like literally just, if they like wouldn't even like take me seriously or anything. And when I played sports, it was like the same thing. I was like the only Asian dude in the football team. So like I had something to prove. So I definitely think it kind of stemmed from that a little bit. Like, you know, back in 8th grade, high school, you know, kids are ruthless. So I definitely think it kind of stemmed from that. But, like I said, I would always try to be like the life of the party, and like I just didn't really care about what people thought about me, and I think that's what made me so reckless back then. Like some of my old friends who knew me knew how wild I was. So anyway, back to the COVID thing. So I was like 210 pounds. I lifted a lot of weights, and obviously we couldn't go to the gym. And I just started picking up running, and I remember running my first 2 miles or something, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. And it was like the dead heat of summer. And my friend Yusuf, who's the one who got me into running, and he's been my longtime friend since 9th grade, I think. And he was running, and I saw him do these races here and there. And at the tail end of COVID, I guess, you know, when things were loosening up and stuff, I went there to New York Roadrunners 4 mile race. So I did my first 4 mile there, and I was pretty much hooked since. So I started running a lot more frequently. And then I did my first half marathon with this kid, Alex Anderson. And we went to Philly, and my goal was just to break 2 hours, and I did it. I ran an hour and 55 minutes. And I remember being pretty emotional for that because it was like my first big endurance event. And also like the energy of the crowd was ecstatic, and it made you feel like a pro athlete, everyone cheering you on, all that good stuff. And, at the time when I was on YouTube, like the unhealthy amount of hours, because, you really didn't have anything to do. There was this running influencer named Kofuzi, and he just reviews shoes. You're a casual runner. And I remember just being obsessed with just watching him, looking at all the shoes and like what fit for me. And he always reviewed like anything running, watches, shoes, he reviewed it. Mm-hmm. So, and what he was known for was just running with a GoPro. So I don't know why, I just was like, that looks fun and cool to do, and I definitely made some cringy ass videos. And I'm just that one rando running with a GoPro out on the Vassar College Strip. I remember doing my first video there, and since then I just started making videos from there. So if anyone budget friendly, start with a GoPro. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Sweet. No, that's really cool. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the stuff you've been doing. What was that like for you to finally make that decision to be like, I'm going to put myself out there? Like, I like doing this.
Yeah. To be honest,
because like everybody has that story. Like some people, like the videos are, they feel very cringe when you're doing it. And then other times you look back on it and you're like, who did I think I was?
Yeah. I guess I still kind of think that sometimes.
Yeah,
who do I think I am still like, yeah. There's like this weird like conflict where I'm like, I kind of hate social media, but at the same time, it's like I'm making content at the same time. So I feel like it's just this weird, like, I still don't know how to navigate that myself yet. But I just know, I just felt like so people were watching my videos and they said like my first video I ever made, like it came out pretty decent, and people were like, this is actually like decently edited. So I was like, all right, cool. Like it didn't suck. So from there, I just like started doing trail running. And that's actually what I did before I started doing road running seriously. So bringing the story back, my friend Yusef, he started sending me YouTube videos of these ultras, and I watched them, and I'm a sucker for like these super, endurance feats, and it's a real tearjerker. And I was like, you know what, like I'd like to like tell a story or at least document what I'm doing. So me and Yusuf, we used to do these crazy trail runs, and I remember we did like 3 sets or 4 sets up to the Mount Beacon Fire Tower. Like we literally ran it up and down 4 times. Yeah. Yeah.
This is when you first started running?
Yeah, this is when I first started.
And you have all the energy.
Yeah.
When I first started running too, I was like, I'm gonna go for like 10 miles.
Yeah, and dude,
it's gonna be uphill.
I was on that David Goggins dope. Like, I was sitting here like,
you're bleeding good. Like,
exactly. And I read his book, and as cliche as it sounds, it definitely made a really good impression on me. Like, this guy came from dirt, like poor, and it's kind of how I grew up in Rockland County. Another detail, me and my family, we were pretty poor, like growing up. And I remember during the 8th grade, like I had no lunch money for like 3-4 months. So I sat there with like no lunch half the time. And it was like a glaring crack that I didn't like people seeing. It's like, I'm the one few kids that's not eating lunch over there. So, it really puts a chip on your shoulder when you try to prove a point, or at least like try to distance yourself from that. And like I said, I think that's what kind of created these unhealthy emotions I had of just like, why is this happening to me? Or like I guess in a way, the way I look at it now, it's like kind of built me who I was. Like I became pretty resourceful, and I guess in a way it kind of just drove me to do certain things that I, kind of put my mind on and whatnot. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we've talked about it a couple of times. I think the one thing that you get from addiction at the end of it is you realize the whole time you had like a superpower.
Yeah.
Because it's like a mindset and a focus that like, damn, I really need to get this bag tonight. Otherwise I'm not going to be able to bartend.
Yeah.
And like just how like much you're willing to do to make things happen when you're in that state. And then when you're out of it, it's like you can do anything you want if you keep that mindset, but use it for the right things.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so important to like connect those dots of like you mentioned how what happened to you, like whether it was bullying or just kind of like attributes about your family or whatever it is that then contribute to, oh, I want to be the life of the party, because your identity before that registers as
like,
as like I was the kid who got made fun of, right? And then like people can make fun of me, but I have this substance that helps me forget about that, and I'm still fun.
Yeah,
right,
exactly. And I think
it's hard to connect those dots as to like why do I like this so much?
Yeah,
why do I like feeling like a superhero?
Yeah,
and then feeling like death the next day.
Yeah, it's not a. But it's just like you get that text from your buddy, you're like, hey, what's up, and you're like immediately know what that means, so you're just like, I'm gonna roll through. And at the time my friend, he was like one of the like biggest dealers around, so it was like it was free, so it was just kind of like,
well, that's the thing about bartending too, is that like most of the time like it's not hurting your wallet like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember just driving to Brooklyn, this club called Output. We used to go there like every other weekend, and it was a fun time, I'll tell you that. Like I probably experienced more than most people do in their whole entire 20s within that span, or actually in their life in general. So I traveled a lot too, and like I'm also grateful for my parents not like absolutely killing me or kicking me out of the house while I was doing all this shit. And we had a family restaurant. It was like doing well, and like it helped me be able to experience all those things I was able to do. And looking back at it now, it's just like, I was definitely an ungrateful piece of shit. Like, so, anyway, me and my parents, we have a very close relationship now. Recently bought them like a $1,400 Airbnb, like a beach house in Rhode Island. They haven't been on a vacation like 17, 18 years.
Nice.
So, like it's kind of heartbreaking, especially my dad. He's like pushing his late 60s, still working. It's a little heartbreaking to see him still work, but it's just like how things are right now. So I just try to at least give back when I can, and probably will continue.
We always talk about like making peace with who like you used to be, like, and I think that oftentimes like your parents are a big part of that. How did you like make peace with the fact that like I can't undo how I was in my teenage years or my 20s, but I can kind of like focus on building this with them now?
Yeah. So we had this it was a pretty we had this falling out, and God, I feel like a dirtbag. But I remember my mom, when she confronted me, and she was just like, like, did I fail you as a mother? And like, when you hear that, it absolutely rips you up apart inside. And I still feel pretty guilty about like a lot of things I did, but like I said, you kind of just move past that and try to give it back. And my mom's a lot more happier seeing me do these side projects, keeping busy and whatnot. So my dad also said the same thing. I had that trait. It was like when I put my mind on something, like I will pretty much excel and like put my full effort into it, get really good at it and stuff. And that was like the one trait my dad said I always had. Like other than that, if you didn't care, he's like, oh yeah, he was fucking useless. Like he didn't give a shit. Like, so I was like, yeah, touche. Like, yeah.
When did you so you were talking a little bit about film before and like making your own content. When did you start getting into that? Was that directly related to running, or did you always have like a passion or a hobby for it?
Yeah, so I never had any experience or even cared about filming. Like I said, it was much more like experimental, and then I kind of was like, wow, I like doing this shit. My friend Chris Petruccio, big car guy, I grew up with him. He's actually like super YouTube famous and really well known in the car world in general. I think he was like best videographer in Euromag, like from 2017 to 2018. Like really famous dude. It's kind of crazy. I went to a car show with him at H2O in Ocean City, Maryland, and you know, people came up to him like with their steering wheels, like asking for an autograph and ripping their Yeezys off and having them sign it. But anyway, long story short, I definitely like to thank Chris. When I did get into filmmaking, he helped me troubleshoot a lot of the like editing, told me like, you know, get a Mac laptop, get Final Cut Pro, you know, help me with certain cameras and equipment and all that. And because I got all that, he was able to like, well, if I got something else like outside of, you know, an Apple and Final Cut Pro, he couldn't help me. But because he had all that experience, he was able to help me troubleshoot anything, gave me like $400 or $500 worth of assets, just gave it to me through Google Drive. So super grateful. I had something to work with. And eventually I did wanted to buy like a camera. So I, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, getting into cinematography or getting a camera is going to cost you an arm and leg, which is technically true, but always look in the used like camera market. You can get it for like 1/5 of the price. And, you know, my Panasonic G7, I think I bought it for like $500 and it came with an extra battery, like a whole kit lens, like everything was included in it. And started from there. And then I realized, I was like, wait, it's not like a GoPro where you could just hold on to it and has, you know, built-in stabilization. I was like, dude, well, definitely need a gimbal. Bought the gimbal, and I guess that's when things really started rolling for me. So my coach, Ryan, I met him actually with Jafet and Corey, which, you know, you ran with. And they just got into running as well. So this was our first race together. And Ryan absolutely like smoked the race. Like no one even came close. And Jafet, I remember, followed him on Strava, and he was like, yo, this dude ran like that 5 miles at like a 5:40 something pace, like some quick like that.
Quick, man.
Yeah,
That's unreal.
Yeah.
The side segue. We went for a casual run last Sunday, and because his coach was there and pacing, like we're trying to have a conversation and run, but his running pace is like everybody else is shut up and run pace. Like him talking, he's talking, and
he feels normal. Everybody else is dying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at my watch, like 7:20. This guy's like talking, like his heart rate's so low. I'm like, where's my race pace? And he's running this is easy.
And he's like talking to you about shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like having a conversation.
Yeah,
busting your ass. Like.
Yeah, and I guess it's in a way like I'm so glad I met this guy. He was pretty much my first client. Well, it wasn't paid, but it was like my first like video project. Like I wanted to film an athlete. And a little background beforehand, there was this YouTube channel called Sweat Elite, and it was like just this guy who just filmed like Olympians running, and then like I was mesmerized by like, you know, the running form paces these guys were hitting. And it was just really cool to watch these guys like run super fast. So I was just like, hey, like I want to do something like that. So Ryan, I was like, perfect, this guy's fast as hell. Like, so I hit him up and I was like, hey, you know, I don't know like what was our previous conversation, but I think we both knew what Sweat Elite was. And I was like, hey, like this sounds weird, but like, you're fast, obviously, and I'd like to like come out and film. And he was just like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Like, fuck it, we ball. And I was like, all right, cool. So met him at the rail trail, and it was like slightly awkward, like, yo, like nice seeing you again. And I was just like, this is like kind of my first time too, but like, it's pretty straightforward. You're filming a guy running for 20 miles. Like, how hard that could that be? So, it was the first time when I realized like, the gimbal and the camera, 8 pound, it's not going to work on the camera. I'm going to drop this shit. So I filmed him for his like, warm ups and all that. And then I switched to the GoPro, filmed this guy absolutely destroy this workout. And to put it in perspective, I'm like looking at my watch. We're going at 11 miles per hour, and this guy was running like that for hours. It was crazy. So I made this video and put it all up together, and called it like the 20-mile workout with a 2:34 marathoner, which he was at the time. So I uploaded that, and it got a pretty decent reach, and I got a lot of good feedback. So I was like, all right, cool. Like that video didn't suck either. So let me just try to do this. And Jafet, I remember when he first got into running, he saw like a couple of my posts. I think I did the Long Island half, and I PR'd. And it was like I posted on social media, and I remember me and Jafet just started becoming friends, and I called him. I was like, yo, dude, like I PR'd, blah. We were chatting for a bit. He's like, that's awesome. And then a week later, he started texting me like, hey, I want to get into running. I was like, dude, totally do it. And then prior to that, Jafet had a really big cycling background, so he was pretty much like an endurance athlete from the start. And he's like, I have this itch, and I think running would do that. So I remember I was out in the city at some rooftop bar, and I get a text from this kid, and he's like, yo, dude, I just ran 10 miles. I was like, dude, this is like 9 days into running, and he ran 10 miles on a track. I was like, this dude ran 40 laps around the track.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
like,
looking at the same
thing.
thing.
I was like, that's like Jesus. And, he just started running, and then he started showing me videos of him like running a treadmill, and he didn't like road running. Like he didn't like running outside. He just kept running on a treadmill. I was like, dude, like you gotta go outside for a run. So he eventually did that, and Jafet was just naturally gifted at running from the start. And that segues to how I met my coach. That was our first race, and Jafet dropped me on the last mile. So I was like, all right, this dude is naturally gifted at running. And then Corey, I remember, we were at work, and before we dispatched and left the building, he's like, I want to get into running. And I was like, yeah. Corey started picking up running, and dude did not stop running. He liked running more than I did. Like he just kept running. He had an injury, and he was like, that's the last time I listened to David Goggins while I run. Like he just ran through like an injury. But it's beautiful to see them like get into a sport like that. And there was a video I recorded of Jafet doing his workout, and at the end of the video, he started talking about, I forgot what question I asked him, but it went into this conversation where Jafet was saying on camera, like, well, I got into running because of you, motherfucker. And he goes, this was like one of the best things to happen to me, more or less. And I was sitting here like, damn, dude, you're going to make me cry on a bike right now. Like, and I remember, Corey, sending me these like, like deep-rooted texts like, I'm so glad you got me into running and all that. And that's when I realized what like imposter syndrome was. I'm like, I'm a fucking piece of shit. Like, I'm nothing special. Like, and I made this one video called Trust the Process. This was probably after I did the New York City Marathon. I had a friend who died from, childhood friend anyway, who died from an overdose. And I ran, I promised his mom and his brother I'd run, on his behalf. I had his name printed on the back of my jersey. And I haven't talked to or even seen him in 7-8 years. And the mom and brothers wanted me to give the obituary. And I felt really guilty. And then they told me he was like really depressed, started drinking a lot, gambling. And it was just someone who never touched opioids in his life, and it was just like unexpected. So I'm pretty sure they're still kind of like on the fence if it was like an intentional thing he did, and made me feel real guilty that he couldn't reach out to me like that. So you know, that's when I realized sometimes it's not about the finish line. Sometimes it's like it means more than running just for running. Like sometimes, I ran for him, you know, and it was also the hottest New York City Marathon to date too, that day. And I remember just eating shit completely and like crying at mile 18, like, you know, I'm doing my boy like no justice running like shit. And I remember it was like 80 degrees, like humid. And I ran like a 4-hour and 55-minute marathon. And I remember I had like chafing between my legs here. It was like raw. I was bleeding down there. Terrible first marathon experience. But yeah, that happened. And, you know, that's when I was humbled and realized how like underprepared I was for an actual marathon. So going to my second marathon, which was the New York City Marathon, was under UPS. I reached out to like corporate or something because UPS sponsored the New York City Marathon for like 2 decades or something like that. So I got to run under their banner, which was I was really grateful about it. So it was me, Corey, Yusuf, and Jafet. We all ran under that. We wore like a whole brown getup, like a bunch of tool bags, wearing a UPS hat. And it was funny. It was just like people were like having the greatest time seeing like UPS, like, you know what I mean? It was funny.
People love UPS.
Yeah. And
Brown always delivers.
What can Brown do for you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, and
you can run the New York City Marathon.
And someone's like, "Is that why my package is like?" I'm like, yeah. So yeah, it was a great time, and you know, I had some coaching, and I shaved like 30 minutes off, and you know, that's when I realized like, you know, the marathon distance is something you have to respect. Like, there's nothing casual about 26.2 miles, period. And you know, when some people tell me they want to do it, and you know, they're running like 7 miles a week, I'm like, don't, please, for the love of God, don't. Like. So yeah, it was an amazing thing, and I got to film, or I carried a GoPro for 26 miles, like documenting the whole event, and I sent it to UPS and or my center manager anyway, and did all that good stuff. Came in the next day, and I saw a picture of myself, you know, biting the metal on the giant TV screen. I was just like, come on, bro. Like, people were like, "Oh, is that you? Like, look at you. You're the fucking UPS fucking star boy over there." I'm like, shut up, dude. So, yeah, that was really cool. And, yeah, really grateful for what running has brought me. And, you know, ever since then, I was just like, you know what? I feel like documenting these kind of things, whether people like it or not, I think it's cool. That's why I like to put it out there, and we'll probably continue to put videos, whether it gets reach or not. At the end of the day, I feel like you have to love, you know, putting out the content you're putting. And if you get a lot of feedback and a lot of reach, I would say that's the cool side effect of it. But other than that, like, if you not doing this because, you know, for superficial reasons, you just want like to be famous or some shit, then it's definitely just not for you. I definitely like to put a lot of like heart into it and like tell people's stories, or at least glorify running anyway, because, you know, that's just what I do. And I think running's great. Like the amount of YouTube comments I get from some of those videos are really heartfelt and get me choked up sometimes. And it kind of reminds me that like, dude, like, you're not your past self. Like, you're at least doing something. At the end of the day, if I was able to impact you or make you try to change your life for the better, then I know I'm doing something right, and I'm just gonna pretty much lean into that. So
yeah, I feel like it's that inner battle that a lot of creative people have, which is that you want to do it for you,
but
the project isn't the same, or you don't get out of it if you don't share it with people. You know what I mean? Like you can talk all you want about how like, oh, I loved filming this and I liked editing this and blah, blah, blah. But like, if you don't share it with anybody, it's like you could make the greatest movie or vlog or reel ever, but if it sits on your phone or sits on your computer, then like, what the fuck is the point of it, you know?
And I think that's what people like who cares what people think at the end of the day? Like just put it out there. You know, you'll never meet a hater that's doing better than you, I guess you could say, at the end of the day.
They're not going to be like at your funeral, like, I can't believe you put that running vlog out. What a fucking loser.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No,
like you know, at least you got it. At least you put something out there. You know what I mean? Like, I did a couple running vlogs. I was just like, you know what? Like, I kind of hate being like talking. I just hate talking about myself sometimes, or just like, oh, like, you know, I don't want to be labeled as a runfluencer by any means. Like, I want to just be like a filmmaker and tell stories of, you know, like genuine stories, like of people, everyday people doing these hard things. And I remember I don't think you met Dan, but Dan, he said, he's like, you're like, if anything, you're definitely doing something different, because everyone films all the pros and Olympians and talk about, you know, their stories, but you know, you're doing something different. You're out there talking about your everyday people. And I even told Steve I'd like to do like a video of him, you know, Beacon business owner, real estate agent, you know, about to become a father, and then tell a cool story with that. And I mean, he's building for the Dutchess County half right now. Might do a marathon, maybe. We'll see about that. But he's running some marathon distance kind of weeks, like 50-mile weeks is usually like what you would be doing for a marathon build-up. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see which one it comes out. So we're signed up for the half right now.
The half is such a great distance. It's just like it's at least over at some point.
What did you say? We said it the other day when we were running. You were just like, there's really no point after 13. Like that's the marathon.
The last like 3 miles are hundreds of miles in your head, right?
Clayton Young, he's the Olympian that ran the Paris Olympics, and you know, he has this wonderful series, and essentially just like it's, I guess, to build up to these races that he has. And he even said like 26.2 is a dumb distance. Like he's just like, it's not fun. And I'll tell you right now, when you cross 13.1
and you realize you still got 13.1,
like yeah. And this is where it's like, you learn about yourself a lot. Like at that point, you can do all the training you want, but when you hit mile 20 and you do that last 6, that's just all heart at that point. It doesn't matter how well you trained or anything. It's just like, it's all mental at that point. And it's basically, it's you trying to rebel against your own thoughts and body telling you to stop. And, you know, you just see these people out there doing the same thing as you, and they all have their own background stories. And, you know, recently I just filmed, this guy, Mike Maldonado. I ran with him a lot during the summer, and we actually met at the Dutchess County half. I dropped him. Sorry, Mike. But so that's how we met. And I was at Crunch Gym at the time, and that's when I ran into him. He's like, hey, you're that dude. I tried to chase you down, and like I couldn't do it. And we started chatting, and I told him about the Cadence Collective Club, which I'll get into a little bit. And, you know, he started running with us, and out of nowhere, he texted us like, hey, dude, I can't run anymore. I got into a car accident. And I was like, what? Like, and I didn't realize the severity of it was he was hit head on Knoxon Road. And if you guys know Knoxon Road, people drive fast on that road. And he had a fractured hip, a dislocated toe, I think 2 broken fingers or something like that. Like he could have died essentially. And like 6 to 8 months later, like this dude was like, he actually kind of thought about like giving up running. Like he was like, this isn't for me. And when he had a life altering event like that, he realized like he was lucky he could still like put his body into that kind of stress. Like, people don't realize, what they have until, something like that happens. And to see him, battle it out and like try to get back on the saddle after literally having like he has screws in his hips right now. And he's out there training for high rocks, like, doing these squats, like a lot of mobility with the hips. And, he went out and did it. And then he also ran the New Jersey Marathon also on top of that. So I definitely got to work on that video. It's going to come out at some point. We have it all set up, have his voiceover and all that. But you'll see in that video, like, you'll see that x-ray. It was pretty gnarly. Like, it was really bad. So it's just stories like that. I feel like I want to just like tell everyone, like, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't try it, at least. Like, bet on yourself at the end of the day. Like,
man. Yeah, that's a crazy story. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I think it's like that. What do they say about? It's like the average. It's like the average. Like 90% of people over the age of 30 will never sprint again in their life.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And like you hear about somebody like that, and he's just like, I can still do this. So like, I'm gonna do it.
It wasn't a year later. It was like 8 months later.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So for him, like, that dude fought like tooth and nail to get back. Like,
well, yeah, it's like you everybody like in the back of their head is just like, oh yeah, I can run. Like if I need to. It's like a fucking bear is chasing me. Yeah. But like then you take that for granted if like one day you woke up and like you were in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, in a way, it's like I never thought I'd be into running and all that either. Like,
I never thought I'd be running like 5 miles a week. That's really like all I'm running like 5 to 7 miles every week. Like,
I mean, I went from smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, and partying till 11 a.m. with heart palpitations before going to work, like to running. Like, So we all know that feeling.
So now, like, what's your zone 2, man?
Exactly. And I'm in zone 3 right now. And I'm sitting here.
Doing Molly gets me to zone 4.
Yeah,
though, like.
Exactly.
That used to be. I think that's one of the craziest things that these things do. Like my whoop used to tell me, it'd be like, "Hey man, your heart rate's 188 beats per minute right now, and you're not doing a goddamn thing. So what's going on here?"
That actually brings me up to Pat Mackey. This kid I ran. He also did an ultra marathon. He ran 50 miles, but he was a full blown addict before. And I actually showed Steve the video, The Next Right Thing. This dude was down bad. Like I remember he told me a story where he was like banging H and like doing blow at the same time, and the doctor's like, how your heart rate's at like 54 and you're doing blow, like you're about to die. And he became sober. He's actually a drug counselor now, like, and talks to people and all that. But it was kind of crazy. He just he saw us running, and his best friend Nick, who was my coworker, he came out to run with us, and then was like, I'm gonna go do these hard things. And it was awesome, like, from former addict to a guy running. He did the the Beacon Trail Marathon, which is the hardest trail marathon in the East Coast. It's about like 9,000 feet, 10,000 feet of elevation gain. And to put that in perspective, that's like climbing 1/3 of Mount Everest. So, yeah.
This is in Beacon?
Yeah, it is in Beacon.
It's like doing like the breakneck trail.
On the website. Dude,
okay.
Yeah.
People run that. That's nuts.
Yeah. And to put in perspective, like the website literally said like one of the hardest trail marathons in the East Coast. So, this kid just was like, fuck it, we ball, and then went out and did it. So that was an amazing feat. And then out of nowhere, he was like, I'm going to go do 50 miles. I was like, okay. And, he did it. I remember he was texting Nick like the updates, and he said like mile 38. He was just like, I'm getting crushed out here. Like, he was like, I think there's something wrong with my foot. And I believe he probably had a stress fracture on his foot during that race and just ran it through. So yeah, he did that 50 miles in like I don't remember, like 10 hours, which is pretty impressive. Like he was moving with intention. Like,
Yeah.
so, pretty amazing there.
Yeah. What do you think it is about running that can be so inspiring that it just takes like that? I like can vividly remember the first run that I went on, and I was just like, I need to be doing this all the time again, because this will get me closer back to the person that I was before I made all these mistakes and these like the things that I regretted. I remember that run coming out of my parents' neighborhood, and I was coming around the corner to go up toward like where Heritage is. And as I came around that corner, I could like feel myself crying as I was running, and I was like, damn, like this is the closest I've been to being a little kid again, like from that feeling. What do you think it is about running that brings you back home, that like can get you out of those tough spots mentally?
I think running in a way, it's like beautiful, controlled chaos. Nothing about it feels good when you're running.
That should be the voiceover for your next video.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I guess why I would say that's because like you're just like it sucks. It sucks. There's nothing, like I tell people all the time, like running sucks. It doesn't get easier. Like you just get better at it. And I think it's just like you get into a flow at some point, and like it's meditative. And you know, in my opinion, when you do go out for a run, it's definitely like a solo kind of sport, solo effort. And it's that one time to yourself where you have that absolute solitude, where you do maybe reflect on certain things. You know, no one's outside. It's just you out on the roads. And that's why I say it's like beautifully chaotic. And when I mean chaotic, is it's like a lot of things in your mind telling you like you want to stop, or you know, like, or maybe you feel like dog shit while you're running, but you're still out there. And it's just like pure unadulterated silence. Like it's just you and pavement. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of appreciate about running too. It makes you very present. You're no longer thinking about what happened yesterday or what you have, going on today or a week from now or a year from now. You're just in that moment, and you're just thinking about that next step, that breath you're taking, maybe people watching during that day. But like I said, it's that time to yourself I think people really do like about. And it's just, I feel like it's something you wouldn't understand until you start running. And it's that time that no one can take away from you. And it's also fulfilling because it's those bricks you are building, like that, you're building that whole foundation. And I think it kind of helps you segue, or at least, whatever you're trying to apply for, whatever goal you have. Like it's like, I can do hard things right now. And, you're kind of just like, one day at a time, you're scraping at that like pain cave, and you start to learn a lot more about yourself. And I think it's that curiosity of chasing fitness, or chasing of like what you can actually do out there and achieve. And, like, I never thought I'd be doing a marathon or even doing an ultra. But, you're out there doing it. And, like I said, I think you just learn a lot about yourself through the act of, daily discomfort. Like it just makes you a much more resilient person in general. And I think that's what, everyone kind of wants. Like, if someone asked you, like, how do I become stronger or tougher? You wouldn't give them like an easy life. You know what I mean? Like you would give them obstacles, or at least you choose to do those kind of obstacles. And there's that cliche quote, like the obstacle is the way. I think it's damn right. It is the way. Because if you're just complacent and doing all that, like this is how you like they say, the idle time's the devil's playground. You eventually just start making bad choices, because it's like you don't have that discipline, or you don't care about that self accountability at the end of the day, because you never built anything. So I guess in a way I don't know how to really articulate it.
Well, no, yeah, but like who you are is kind of like built on those days where you feel like a piece of shit, versus like being built on the day where you wake up and you feel great and you run, you know. That's where you learn. It's like, I mean, just on the pod before this, we were talking about how it's just like if everything you knew in life was certain and you just kind of knew it was going to happen and you knew you could do these things and blah, blah, blah. Like, what would it mean to do something hard?
And I think,
it wasn't that hard.
Yeah. Piggybacking off you said, I think that really kind of goes on the word faith. Like, faith is built around uncertainty. And I think because of that, it's what makes people believe into, or at least they believe in what they're doing is so great. Like, that's how they actually achieve, or like, it's hard to articulate.
Yeah,
but
I've been watching this show called The 100-Foot Wave on HBO, and it's about people who surf these massive waves.
Yeah.
And every time they go out there, they're looking, or not they're looking, but like they're putting themselves into like, you could die out there, right?
Yeah.
And everybody who doesn't do it is looking at them like, why would you keep doing this? But to them, it's like the only way that you can like be present in your life is by doing this thing that like nobody thought I could ever do.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that, like running, obviously you're not necessarily putting yourself into like a dangerous situation, but like you can still get hurt. It's still hard, you know?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think these hard things that people do is it's absolute faith in yourself, and you are betting on yourself. And I think that's what makes it like a universal language and beautiful to every person out there. Like, you don't even have to speak the same language. It's just like that kind of hard work, or like that achievement, or like something incredible that you just pulled off. Like, people will respect that, because like there's something beautiful about the indomitable human spirit. It's just going out there and doing some incredible feat. Like, and I feel like those are the reasons why people look up to those kind of people. Like, you know, the first guy climbed Mount Everest, or, you know, the 100-foot waves and all that. You know, people just sit there like, holy shit, someone is out there kind of doing that. And I think that's what builds, or at least goes back into what faith is. It's that uncertainty of like, you may eat shit and people will call you an idiot after, but if you do pull it off, like, you're no longer that idiot. Like, you are that superhuman people look up to. Like, it's just like, I feel like it's, in a way, I mean, it just inspires people to go out there and do something hard, or at least do something they thought they couldn't do. But, you know, at least
everybody has like their version of the marathon or the wave or whatever it is that like, how do you like translate that mentality into the hard stuff mentally? Like, you know, you're going out there, you're putting yourself out there, like, but then how does the running and the clarity that comes from that, how do you apply it into your life?
I feel like people don't understand. Well, I feel like people are really instant gratification is what everyone wants these days. And I think the delayed gratification part is something people just don't have the patience for. So in a way, it's like a lot of people, you know, do something for like 2 weeks and then they give up. But that's what basically the hard work comes from. Like, everyone wants to view, but no one wants to do the climb, as they would say. And, you know, it's the things you do in the shadows, you know, or in the dark, where nobody is watching you or giving you a big applause. You're just out there doing it. And, you know, I think it's, you know, coming back to faith, it's like, you have to believe in yourself, like that, you know, what you're doing is right. And it, like, if you don't have any faith in yourself, or just have faith in general, then you're not going to do anything. You're just going to be complacent, scared, fearful of everything. And, you know, that's where I feel like a lot of people have those regrets in life. It's like, if you don't at least take that risk or bet on yourself, and at least work at that goal, and even work at that goal, even if you feel like dog shit or you don't feel like doing it, then, you know, you're the one to blame. Like, I guess is the best way I can kind of articulate right now, or put it that way.
Yeah, I think that was a good answer. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, you think that putting yourself out there is hard or something like that. Like, for instance, putting a piece of your work for you and I, it's video or whatever it is. But after you run a 26.2 mile marathon, like, it doesn't seem that hard to like put yourself out there, I bet.
No, it's scary. There's nothing, I don't go into any race thinking like, oh, it's going to go well. Like, a lot of shit happens in the, either you're doing 13 miles or 26 or even 3 miles of 5K. I think that's what, that defines who you are too, in a way. It's like, when you do eat shit and fall and crumble, like, do you just sit there and give up and all that? And I think that's what's kind of poetic about the marathon too. It's like, you know that this day is coming, and when that day comes, like, fitness doesn't lie. And also I feel like the work you put in doesn't lie. Like, if you never, if you didn't take it seriously, or, you didn't put in the work, that's when doubt sets in. And, there's this great saying I like, preparation is the seed of confidence. And I thoroughly love that quote because, any project you're doing doesn't or marathon, whatever, anything that applies, there's like something you're looking forward to, or something that at least scares you. And it's coming. I think that's what kind of drives people to actually put in work and do things. And, if you don't, it's a glaring crack people will see. And it's just something like any project or even marathon. It's just like you're always going to be, there's always going to be slight doubt in your mind. Like, there's nothing smooth sailing about anything you really do. You kind of just bucket, we ball, try to do your best.
We gotta name this episode Bucket, We Ball.
That's the way I look at it. Any video I put, like, you're just like, I think this is good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you just kind of put it out there. And same with just, running the marathon. You're just like, I think I put in the work, like, and I think that's what it comes down to. You trust the work you put in, and, you just hope for the best results possible.
Yeah. And it's also just being like, I like this, like, what's, like, hopefully, like, other people like this, but like,
yeah,
I enjoyed making this. Yeah.
You're gonna have at least someone's gonna be at least touched by your work. You know what I mean? Like, someone's going to relate, and whether it does good or not, like, at the end of the day, at least you put it out there. You don't have to sit there and have that eat you up, like, what if I never put this, and you decide never put it out, you will never know.
Yeah. And I think it's Rick Rubin who said, like, it's your project has become a success when you put it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
The work is done when it's at.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah. And I feel like people who don't do it, like, that's where they have so much anxiety. They just put it out there.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. Bet on yourself. Like,
you spend so much time in your head beating yourself up about why this isn't going to be good and how this is going to fail. And if you just did an accusations audit with yourself, like
accusations audit, I like that.
These are all the things that I think could possibly go wrong. And like, once you do that with yourself and you just put it out there, like, what do you got?
And then so often you forget about that. You don't even think about how I had all these worries about this or that, and then none of that happens. And you don't even think about the fact that, like, when you go into the next project, you're yet again there with the same worries and the same fears. But you don't think about how I've done this 10 times before and nothing fucking bad happened.
And that's what I said when people are like, does running get easier? I'm like, no. Like, you just
10,000 hours in.
I think it's not like it gets easier. You're more confident in yourself. Like, you were like, I've done this before. I've been in this situation, and that's what makes you thrive, more than other people, who's never done the damn thing. Like, you know, I have people all the time that reach out on DMs, like trying to run with us on the Cadence Collective Club. Well, I totally forgot to get into that, but
we'll get back to it.
Yeah, people are like, you know, I'm so scared. Like, you know, I see your paces, and I don't think I'm like, that's not the message, or that's not how you should convey what the club is. It's a bunch of guys running fast or something. We're trying to facilitate a safe and comfortable environment for you to come out and run with people and build meaningful connections. Like, without these guys that I run with, I literally wouldn't have any content. You know what I mean? And I think it's because running is I feel like such a primal sport too. It's just what our ancestors did. They're fucking chasing fucking antelopes and shit for miles. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, we were just fucking relentless apex predators with fucking pointy sticks, and we're like, we're gonna get this fucking guy. Like,
You get to spice him.
You're like fuck this dude, we're gonna get him. Like, you know, and eventually, you know, they fucking got the goddamn thing, and you know, you bring it back to the tribe, and you know, you're the fucking stud of the village, like the bicep, like, yeah, I killed that fucking thing. But you know, I think it's just like, also, you know, running with a group too. There was like some science backing that.
It makes you faster.
Yeah. Like when you run with a group, it's like I feel like there's that innate primal instinct that you're not gonna break from that, you know, group that you're with. And there's, you know, I think Pharrell said this, you know, he said some paraphrasing here, like he said something about like comparing it to track. You always want to run with people who are faster than you. And it's because of those people, they hold you to a certain standard. And I feel like it's that unspoken standard where you're like, I'm not letting these guys down. And you're going to, you know, it's just like, how do I put this?
There's a camaraderie.
There's a camaraderie about it. Yeah. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it. It's like when you are sitting there slaving and dying with these people, running for a ridiculous amount of, like, just a long distance in general, and you finish that workout together, it's like, you know, like the camaraderie is there. Like, you know, you're just in here like, you know, we were those motherfuckers that just pulled this off. And, you know, you will always remember those kind of guys. Like, I don't, like, you know, you know, people have different relationships with other people, but like there is that relationship with certain people, you know, like me and you, Steve, or like Jafet, like the guys that you fucking get down with and run with and do these hard things with. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's a beautifully shared experience. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we both kind of put in that work, and to see each other grow, I feel like that's what, well, or get fitter anyway, is the most inspiring part. It's just like, you know what I mean? It just feels great when you can keep up, I guess.
We talked about it with Steve about how, like, when you do something, like, it's the payoff feeling when you finish a group run. Like, it feels good to finish a run, like, on your own, because you're like, damn, I did that. But like, now you take that feeling and you mix it in with 5 or 6 other people who are also having that feeling, and now it's just like everybody's elevated.
It reminds me of like the bond that comes from, we've all worked in restaurants before, where like nobody wants to be the weak link in the chain, you know? But also the, like, we went to war tonight, and like, we all won together, and that's why, like, sometimes the people who, like, you work with are closer with you than, like, your family, because, like, you don't go to, like, war against the customers with your family, but there's a certain amount of that's like we all got through that, but also we got through that, and each one of us carried our own weight.
Going through hard times together, it's just what creates strong individuals. And like, you know, I would say, like, I couldn't get to the fitness I'm at, or, you know, whatnot, without those guys. You know what I mean? There's like a saying, like, if you want to run fast, run alone. If you want to run far, run together. And I think that's definitely. Like, you know, when you're not motivated, you know, and you have someone accountable, like, telling you, oh, get the fuck up, bro, like, we got to go do this. It's like, you're not going to let them down. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like you get this weird guiltiness of like not showing up with them. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, I felt that last week when I ran by myself after I missed you in the morning. I was like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, you feel guilty. It's like, but at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, at least you know, like you have like that camaraderie to back you up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like we're all doing this hard thing together, and I think that's what's beautiful about it. It's just, we have such a cohesive group because of that. And you know, I also I guess like the videos I make and stuff, like, you know, some of those like messages people like, I don't know why I get like kind of emotional, but it's like, I guess it's like the imposter syndrome, just like thinking like my past self, I'm like, I'm not anything special. Like, I still feel like a dirtbag sometimes, but you know, this guy, you know, I remember this kid I went to Dutchess Community College with, he lives in the Bronx, but he got into running. And he's not like fast by any means, but he's just like, yo, like, you know, I got into running because I was watching your videos and stuff. And, you know, he runs with his, you know, he found a girlfriend that runs too, and they run all the time and started doing marathons. And like, to know that like I had played a part in it feels kind of weird, because it's like, I was a guy who was sitting here, you know, smoking cigarettes, being a fucking degenerate, like at 11 a.m. Like,
I like how smoking cigarettes is the first thing you go to.
yeah. I feel like it's like a ode and a memento to my former self. Like, I always will have a taste for cigarettes. Like,
Dude, we'll post a picture of him finishing up a race.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
like,
dope,
people
man.
looking at me crazy.
You earned it, bro. You earned it.
Yeah. And it's like, I try not to forget where I came from, and I feel like there's this weird solace I find in that cigarette. Like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like a thing I do. It's just like, fuck, that was hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I always
This
will
and a
have
cigarette, and it's just you finishing a marathon.
Yeah. No, there is a picture. They're chief in a bogey.
Yeah.
Like, people are looking at me like, this fucking guy's wild. Like, what the fuck? Like, my coach is like, are you smoking a cigarette? I'm like, yeah. I deserve this.
This is my treat, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, the Cadence Collective Club.
Yeah,
it
let's
was
touch
like,
on that. Why don't we talk about like the group and like what your efforts are, like trying to get the most out of people by getting everybody to come together to run.
yeah. So the Cadence Collective Club, I kind of started this club, and it was just like me, Corey, like basically my coworkers. We started this club, and like none of us took it seriously. We're just like, oh, you know, fuck it. Like the Cadence Collective. It was just like some afterthought. We never took it seriously, but we kind of just threw the name out there. And, you know, so we all kept running together, you know, here and there. And eventually we're like, hey, like, let's try to actually not just keep talking about this idea and, you know, put it on social media. Like, we're going to meet up at Sunday, blah, blah, 8:30 and whatever. So, you know, like our coach showed up, like, you know, a bunch of people showed up, and it was cool. Like, it was the first time we ran with like 8-9+ people. And it was a sick feeling. So, we started running, and we didn't even have a Cadence Collective like Instagram page or anything. But yeah, so, you know, we started running, and then I remember just seeing people at Gold's Gym. Like, I see people with running shoes and a watch, and I like will go up to me like, you run? You like running? You like running, dude?
You like cigarettes?
Yeah, you like cigarettes too? And it's funny because half those people I meet like had a similar background as me. So like Alex DiBenedetto, it was funny. I just saw him wearing Hoka's, and he's that super tatted up dude. And it was funny because me and him talk, because I'm like, we knew each other, like, but it was weird because it's like we knew mutual people, and I was like,
That guy definitely runs.
yeah, like I know.
I think we could be friends.
Yeah, like I'm like, you know, we could have been friends before pre-running in, like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, yeah, we were doing shit. Like, but yeah, I saw him wearing Hoka's, and I was like, yo, dude, like, I asked him, I was like, yo, how do you like those shoes? Like, it was like the new Mach 6s. He was like, oh, great. Like, you just get into running, bro? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yo, like, you know, come run with us. Like, we, we meet up every Sunday, blah, blah. So he came through and, you know, we all started running and shit. And eventually, like, that momentum, or it kind of just started snowballing. I'm not saying we're like cute, like a big club yet or anything, but it's kind of cool. Like, people know who we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like one of our main goals was to put Hudson Valley running on the map. Like, it's a very beautiful place up here to run at. And I feel like a lot of people, like, I feel like Hudson Valley is very underrated for running. We have beautiful mountainscapes, beautiful roads to run on. And I don't know any other club that really meets up besides like Fleet Feet or something like that. You know, a lot of people kind of just run on their own. And like, I want to facilitate like-minded people to all run together. And, you know, it was a slow build and slow start, but, you know, we started getting people from the city, people from Hudson coming down here to run. And one of my favorite running brands, Bandit. We have like some people who like know the CEOs and like affiliate with them and stuff. It was weird. Like, they just somehow came across our page or my page and saw all that and then started reaching out to me like, hey, like, I'd like to run with you guys.
You never know who's watching.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know who's watching.
Yeah. And yeah, hopefully it kind of grows from there. We're kind of starting to have momentum. There's this my friend Cody, he reached out to me. He runs with this girl, or he's trying to run, but I don't think he's really into it right now.
He's trying.
He
That's
said,
what's
I've been
important.
nursing an injury. I'm like, this is like,
He just started dating some girl.
49 days since you've been nursing this injury.
Yeah, he just started dating some girl. He's like, no, I'm a runner, and they just that's what started him running. Like,
Yeah. But this girl, like, hopefully she has like 2 other friends. They just start running, so hopefully we'll see them this Sunday too. But it's cool. Like, people hear about the page and kind of just like, hey, like, I'm gonna send you their details, and they just start following the page, and you know,
man.
Hopefully it goes somewhere. But I think this year is probably the most momentum in general, like filmmaking, you know, the club in general for me. Like, I'm starting to have people reach out to me, and like, I've been the busiest I've ever been before when it comes to video projects. So
nice. Yeah, that's super exciting when stuff like that starts lining up.
yeah.
But then how do you deal with the imposter syndrome too?
I still do.
Because as we all know, like, no matter how many offers you get on the projects or how many people tell you they're great, that doesn't always, when you're sitting alone by yourself being like, am I good at this? Like, what am I doing? Yeah.
I kind of just, I think I get so lost in like the creative process where I just start making it and I just try to finish it. But it's always like after the product's finished, I'll start having that like anxiety where I'm like, whatever.
It's like a breakup though.
Yeah.
It's like when you make something and it means a lot to you, like
Yeah.
you're done working on it and you put it out there. It's like, oh, okay, it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're just like,
all right, I'm done with you. Here you go.
yeah. And I guess I don't know. I still struggle to kind of like.
It's kind of just like I feel like sometimes I just have to like acknowledge the fact that to a certain extent that's always going to be there, you know.
Yeah.
And that no matter how many people tell you that or whatever it is that you're working on, like, there's still going to be a voice inside you that says like, do you really think you can do this? But it's just like, you have to move past that.
Yeah.
You have to keep making, and you can't let that voice win.
Yeah. And just keep making shit, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, and you know, like, I think that's the best practice for it. Just continue to do what you like doing and put stuff out there, and eventually, you know, maybe those pervasive thoughts go away. But as of right now, I'm just gonna continue to do what works and go from there. You know?
Yeah. Well, man, this has been an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we sat down to talk more in detail and like get to know each other a little bit better. And it makes me excited for more of the run clubs.
Yeah.
You know, getting to know other people that we all share these similar stories, and that bond that you can cultivate by doing something hard together, like you talked about, I think is very important. I mean, me and you this doesn't seem hard for us anymore, but it was for a while. And I think one of the reasons this payoff is so nice when we do these is because me and him both remember how fucking hard it was at the beginning to sit down and like try and come up with a conversation and talk and get other people to join us.
But like conversations like this are what proves like is so rewarding about this, you know, is that you're learning about like what makes people tick and what makes people passionate and how they got to where they are, you know. I also think that like we got to collaborate on something, man. Absolutely. 100%. I'm getting into running, you know, like who knows?
Dude,
who knows?
Like, I would love to see it, man. I love to see it in general. Like,
if we do a Who Thought We'd Be Here run club, would you come?
100%.
We gotta
like,
do it, man.
We gotta
do it.
Promote,
but we gotta start slow because I can't run that fast just yet.
5Ks.
5Ks.
Friendly
hey,
5Ks.
In my opinion, 5Ks could be the hardest because if you race, there's a difference between running a 5K and then racing a 5K.
I raced my first I've run a bunch of 5Ks and I raced my first 5K with Jafet when I did the one weekend. I like came out of the line and like I always come out at my own pace.
You
and
came in first in your age group, right?
But like I only came in sixth because Jafet came out of the gate on like a 5:40 minute pace. I was like, Jesus Christ. Because like I'll go for a run when I do races. I normally race alone, so it's just like I come out at my pace, and like if my pace is stronger than your pace over time, like I know I'm going to overtake you, and I kind of just leave it at that. But I came out and I was like, I'm going to run with Jafet and see how far I
exactly.
Bro, I made it like 3/4 of a mile, and I was like, well, I'm far enough ahead of everybody else now that I can slow down, and I'm still going to do really well.
And that's what I'm saying. It's that leap of faith. You bet on yourself, and you came in first. And I was like sitting here looking at my phone like, no fuck, dog. First race, 6th overall, first in his age group. Was like dog. Like, so that's what I'm saying. It's just like you never know until you put yourself out there. And like I said, preparation's the seed of confidence. Just keep practicing what you preach, and eventually, I guess you could say you're the preacher at that point, and people acknowledge you at that point. So at the end of the day, all that work you put in, no one could take that away from you, and it garners respect, I guess, in a way too. So to everyone that's out there nervous or at least hesitant on what they want to do, like fuck that, go do it. Like
Fuck it, let's ball.
Fuck it, fucking be balling. I'm gonna put down a shirt. Like,
we normally, we're in between. Should we ask him this question?
I don't know.
I feel like it'd be interesting. Let's get your take on it.
I feel like we should just simplify it down. Versus going through like the whole.
Okay.
Right.
So instead, we're at a transition period on the podcast where we're trying to come up with a good last question. So we're going to ask you a variation of the old last question as we figure out what the new one is. If you are struggling and looking for a piece of advice or need some inspiration or something to just get you going or help you make a decision, if you had to make a list of like 3 to 5 people, imaginary, real, somebody you know, somebody you don't know, who would be on that list for you?
Well, before you send it, you did a great job on that.
Oh, nice.
That was awesome. That was great. Like,
so
really simplified.
I'm making a list to like for people who ask me something. Like,
No. If you are going to somebody, like a counsel that you would have in your head, of people that you trust for advice.
I feel like the campfire conversation was like a good example of that because I think that opens that up to people.
Who's your ideal blunt rotation?
We need to stick to our guns, stick to our true roots, and make that right. With dream blunt rotation, go. I feel like that. Like,
I would definitely say like my boy Chris Petruccio, like he literally got me in the door, to put shit out there and to get like, to get feedback from him means a lot because that guy is literally like a YouTube OG. 2, probably my boy Yusuf got me into running. I would say Goggins, but I don't know if I want that motherfucker. Like
but it can be. You don't have to take their advice.
I
feel like he's a good one to have.
You can ask him a question.
Like I could just see,
fuck you, David.
I could tone down his answer.
See myself like waking up and just sitting there like, And I'm like,
So you just got up. It's
so you-
fucking 3:59.
yeah, so you want to be average. Like, fuck, dude. Yeah.
My mother used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
in your ear.
Probably, yeah, that dude definitely. has
He's a good
ton of
one.
them,
Yeah, that's a good one to have. in
Mom, definitely mom. And
there. You can go beyond 5 if you want. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. We won't.
I can't really think, but I guess just those 4 right off the bat.
Just
like,
those 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's solid. Yeah.
And before we wrap completely, just anywhere to follow you, wherever you can find your
Yeah.
films, when you want to do the Run Club, any other promos you want to shout out.
Yeah, for sure.
UPS,
Definitely.
what routes
Yeah.
will be having this week.
Yeah.
My Amazon package better be at home. Man.
Yeah, it will.
I
It will. Yeah, it will
You do, no way.
eventually. But definitely Cadence Collective Run Club. We meet up Sundays at the Morgan Trail parking lot. It's up in Poughkeepsie by Dutchess Community College. Usually like 8:30 a.m. Definitely that. You can watch my videos. I usually use Instagram a lot. Allen KCW, Allen K, the letter K, the letter C, NW.
That's Alan Cross Country Wong.
Yeah, exactly. With a K. Like, and then my YouTube, also same thing, Allen KCW. But yeah, essentially, feels weird to self promote, but yeah, those are my things you could reach me at, or at least maybe watch me, hate my videos, like my videos, I don't care. But yeah, as if you watch it, cool. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos and shit. So
Yeah.
Plus, hate's good for the algorithm. You know.
yeah, hate it. If you hate it, like
The
cool.
haters help the algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. If you hate it, I'm
us 'cause
sorry.
They ain't us.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking reball. Exactly.
You had to throw one more in for sure.
Yeah, fuck you
No,
all,
Alan,
dude.
thank you very much, man,
course.
for joining us.
Thanks for having
I look
me, man.
forward to spending more time with you running, getting to know you more, and then you guys collaborating on a project.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you and meeting you today, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you and for working together.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
With all
All right,
the-
same here. Right on cue, Benji.
Get out! The studio's closed.